Hi, this is Savio. I've been seeking answers to some of life's most perplexing questions my entire life. In 2014, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and ever since, I realized my calling existed outside of what I knew to be familiar. This podcast is your home for survivors like myself and those who are searching to find meaning to their why. In Season 1, the show includes coaching sessions with those from all walks of life. The intent is to show the human experience in its rawest form so that others may glean insight. Nothing is rehearsed or has been edited. As a board-certified wellness coach, my job is to ask the deep questions of those trying to make sense of their place in this fractured world. I believe life speaks to us in different ways. Many of us listen but don't know how or where to begin. As someone who has crossed the bridge between life and death, I say simply, begin where you are now and get busy living. If you liked today's episode, I would appreciate it if you could share it. Be sure to tag me at The Human Resolve on Instagram so I can reciprocate in kind. So without further ado, welcome to the Human Resolve podcast. In Season 1, Episode 4, entitled The One About Anxiety, Jessica's reliance on deadlines keeps her overly stimulated. She seeks laser focus to actualize her true needs and wants. Hi, Jessica. How are you doing today? Good. So, what would you like coaching on today?
Well, probably like the rest of the world, anxiety. I have a really hard time being in the present. I'm always focused on like what's next. The only time I realize I can turn my brain off is when I'm working out. That's when I'm really focused on what I'm doing at the moment. But I mean, I can't meditate. God forbid I go to the spa and get a massage. I'm thinking like, oh my God, did I turn the iron off? What did I leave on in the house? What do I have to do tomorrow? So I feel like just that has set me back in a couple of ways. And I just think it's like learned behavior. Like everyone I grew up with is like that. And, you know, from my household with my mom and sister. So, yeah.
So when you think of anxiety, what are some of the feelings that conjure up?
For me, it's like I always feel like I have a deadline, like I'm running out of time. Even though it's weird. There's like no real deadline, especially now, Corona. Like I don't really have a deadline to finish these things. Something as simple as like having to do the laundry or food shopping. And sometimes it just freezes me.
And has that always been prevalent?
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been a time where it hasn't?
Where it hasn't? Again, I'm realizing now it's when I'm working out is the only time I feel like it doesn't exist.
So when you're working out, are you listening to anything?
Well, I guess, you know, music sometimes, but I'm so focused on like hitting my reps and finishing and accomplishing that.
And how long are usually the duration of that?
About an hour.
About an hour. And then when you finish?
And when I finish, it's back to my brain doesn't shut off. It's like, okay, so what's the rest of the stuff I have to do today? Okay, I have to figure out how to meal prep. What am I going to eat for lunch? And then for dinner. And then for my kid, because I have a teenage son. So I'm thinking about him. Now I have to cook for two of us because he's not going to eat the healthy stuff that I do. Did I work on my website enough today? You know, what's the status with... At the moment, we're furloughed from our company. So, you know, when am I going to go back to work? So it's just like a constant thing. Same daily questions.
So what I'm hearing from you is sort of this anxiety is always about something that you need to do.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, interesting. So what would success look like in this session today?
Maybe some tools and pointers on how to work through that and feeling like, okay, I can somehow feel accomplished in life, not having to, if you have any pointers on how I can actually like push through and not let it set me back.
Is there anyone in your life that you admire?
Oh, I feel like I'm surrounded by a lot of great women I admire, from former bosses. There's actually two that I really look up to. They're both entrepreneurs. They're doing great with their business. And they are still very good friends of mine. I no longer work for them, but we check in every now and then.
What are the qualities that you admire about them?
It's interesting. They're both very different. One is actually very energetic and outspoken. And what I love about her is she says what's on her mind. She doesn't worry too much about what people think of her. And she doesn't take anything personal. Like if she were to ask me for business advice and I say, no, that's not a good idea, she'd be like, okay. It wouldn't bother her. She wouldn't really like contest it. She wouldn't take it so personal. The other person actually is, she has a more softer energy about her, but I love how genuine she is, how caring she is for other people. And she's not as successful as she is. She just seems to be like still like a very grounded, genuine person.
So if I had to make you choose between those two friends that you could be for the day, who would you want to embody?
I would say the latter one, the second.
The latter one. Okay. So you want to do a little exercise with me?
Sure.
Okay. Just get to a comfortable seat. Okay. If you feel compelled, you can soften your eyes or close them.
Okay.
I just want you to sort of visualize this friend of yours that you admire, and now you're her. So take me to a regular routine from start to finish.
Okay, so regular routine would probably look like wake up, stretch. She does a lot of morning yoga. Probably as I'm drinking coffee or eating breakfast, checking my work emails. First few hours of the day are probably business related, but most of the day is probably working from home. Going out for a run. I know she's big on that. And the rest of the day probably hanging out with my son when he gets out of school. And the rest of the day is probably easy going. Maybe having the freedom to just take a walk outside whenever I want, or she's really big on financially helping people that are close to her, because she is very well off and wants to give back. So she's always constantly researching and looking for ways to help other people.
How does her work life look?
Her what?
Her work life.
Seems very balanced. She owns a makeup studio / store, retail store. But she knows she has people who work for her now, so she no longer has to be physically in the store. So a lot of her work is online and working from home, communicating that way.
And if she met up with Jessica, so now you're the friend, and she met up with Jessica, what would she tell Jessica?
I think she would tell Jessica to chill. Chill out.
I love it. You giggled. What does chill mean?
Maybe like I need to start taking things one step at a time.
Okay.
Maybe planning out better. Just taking it day by day. She seems to be very, very carefree. I mean, if she were to have a bad day, I mean, she's one of those you probably would never notice. So I could probably learn a thing or two in that sense. But yeah, she'd probably tell me to just relax and take it day by day.
And then when she interacts with your son, what would she say about that?
Oh, she's very loving. She is so connected to him because she says he reminds him of her son.
Okay.
And so, you know, she understands him because my kid is more on the shy side. So he is able to be more friendly and open up to her more than he would to other people. And yeah, she if we were in her house, she'd probably like just continue to serve him, you know, with like snacks and food and games and things like that.
So you mentioned earlier that she would tell you to chill, and then you mentioned sort of take it easy or just, what does that actually mean?
I don't know. Figuring that out.
Yeah. What do you think it could mean?
I think just not being so worrisome of the future, and the future could just be like 5 minutes from now or tomorrow, and focusing on the little things that I have to do before tackling on maybe bigger things. I'm starting to, I learned about the 2-minute rule I read online, which says if it's a small task that takes only 2 minutes or less to complete, then just do it. Rather than letting like all these little things pile on and then you don't know where to start and how to finish them. So that's been a little project of mine this past week. And so maybe like a little step like that can help me just chill out, because at least I know I've crossed some things off the list.
And you said you've been doing it for a week. Have you noticed any changes?
I have.
You have? And what are they?
My house is cleaner. You know, it's like something so small as like my book bag. Like, should I leave it on the table? No, it's gonna take two seconds to bring it to the closet, you know? So I'm feeling cleaner at home, more organized, and I can now remember where things are, because I tend to always have to. Oh, I'm saving time as well, because a big problem with me is I leave the house and I return, it never fails, at least twice. I always forget something. I come back. I have to come back upstairs, and you know, like the mask, I just cannot remember to leave my house with the freaking mask. Like I always have to come back. So I think I need to learn to like more preparation. You know, so if I know I'm stepping out, just like double checking, preparing, getting everything in order and organized. And if everything is where it's supposed to be, I can find it much easier.
Are there any resources to help you keep you organized?
Oh, resources. Well, I probably should use this more, but you know, on the iPhone, I have the tasks that I don't really utilize as much as maybe I could. Maybe doing a checklist would help me. I'm really big on my calendar when it comes to work. So for myself, maybe I need to do the same.
And what would that be?
Well, maybe setting, I don't know, like I want to say like maybe I should start setting a schedule, but then I don't know. Would that ultimately help me? I guess I don't know unless if I try.
Do you want to try?
I mean, why not?
Okay. So I'm hearing from you possibly trying a schedule thing. Mm-hmm. Is there any other thing you could do to remind yourself instead of coming back upstairs?
Now that I think about it, I actually have on my fridge a magnetic dry erase board. And I usually tend to use it for reminders of my kid. Maybe I should use it for myself.
Okay. Is there any obstacles in doing that?
Obstacles to what?
To reminding yourself on that refrigerator?
Are there any obstacles to that? Probably not, just doing it.
Okay.
Well, I guess the obstacle would be remembering to do it.
And how could you circumvent remembering to do it?
I think probably since we're creatures of habit, just getting used to doing it on a daily basis. So it just becomes habit.
Okay. So I'm hearing good things here. I'm hearing possibly putting something in your schedule, using the refrigerator as a reminder. Mm-hmm. So that's going to negate possibly you coming back up. Do you think it would help you in that original question of anxiety?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Maybe if I see it written out in front of me, it'll give me kind of an idea of where to start and what I can cross off and what's left over, instead of everything just being up here and constantly thinking about it. But maybe if I see it written there and I can cross it off or erase it, and maybe I might feel more accomplished that way, seeing that things are actually being crossed off.
And when this anxiety of yours bubbles up, does it lie anywhere in your body?
I feel like I carry a lot of tension in my gut, and I suffer from a lot of migraines. It could be that too.
Okay. Have you seen a doctor for the migraine?
I have. I've been given prescribed medication that actually does not work. The only thing that will get rid of my migraine is sleep. How you fall asleep with a migraine is, it's really hard. I have to be exhausted to do that. But once I fall asleep, I wake up okay.
So can I offer you a resource?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned meditation doesn't work for you. Have you tried any breathing exercise?
Alone, no. Just like I'm just cautious of it as I'm working out, but not working out, no.
Yeah, so there's this thing called Wim Hof.
Okay.
W-I-M.
Ooh, I'm gonna write that down.
H-O-F-F.
Okay.
It's just deep breathing. Doesn't require you to do anything special. And what helps is that it allows you to focus on the body rather than the mind.
Got it. Okay.
How does that sit with you?
That sounds right up my alley. Right what I need for my prescription.
Absolutely. So you mentioned here about, I would love to explore this idea of anxiety, because it seems to me that you are committed to being the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that.
And I asked you earlier about anxiety. Mm-hmm. And you were very clear that it lives in the general top area of your body. Let's do a little experiment.
Okay.
I want you to try to visualize all those thoughts, and I'm going to count down from 5 to 1.
Okay.
When I get down to 1, I want you to drop those thoughts into your belly.
Okay.
When I get to 3, I want you to hover around your shoulder, and let's see what happens.
Okay.
Okay? Just take a deep breath in and out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Interesting.
Do you notice anything?
A little lighter.
Huh.
Yeah.
What's the little lighter feeling?
Like it's weird. I like physically can feel heavy when I'm stressed in that area, but I feel less tension.
Now when you're in the belly, do you have the same number of thoughts?
No.
Do you have the same quality of thoughts?
No, I probably a little more stress.
Do you find that when you have thoughts that bubble up in your head, it's almost too many thoughts?
Yes.
Did you ever find ways to purge those thoughts?
No. Not honestly, no. I think the way of purging would be to actually complete them. But to get there is the challenge.
Are you the only one who can complete those thoughts?
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is you're the only one, based on those thoughts, that you can complete. Am I correct?
Yeah, I feel so.
Is there anyone in your life that you could ask for support in that?
That is a good question. Sadly, no one I can think of off the top of my head right now. That's something to think about.
Yeah, because you mentioned earlier about your mom and your family dynamic. So the thought just arose in me whether or not you can have someone else share in that.
Yeah. Okay. I can consider that.
Okay, so right now you're still in your belly? Is there a shape to those thoughts?
Is there a shape? I'm picturing like a web.
A web?
Yeah. Like there's so much, but everything's connected.
Is it friendly Spider-Man web or creepy Halloween web?
It's not creepy. It's just a web. There's no spider.
Just a web. So web just formed.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Is the web moving?
No, it's not.
Is the web talking to each other?
I can picture it like signaling.
Is it always firing?
No.
Does the web want anything?
Ooh. I think the web wants it to all make sense.
And if it all makes sense, what happens?
If it all makes sense, I think it would still be a web. It would still all be connected, but it would probably be more what's the adjective I'm looking for? I guess more of like an achievement, like it's all completed, like it's all grounded, connected, but there's no more worry. Like everything just flows. Does that make sense?
So what if I'm hearing from you is when it lies in your head, it's not completed. Mm-hmm. It's on your shoulders. But now that it's in your stomach, it is going to be completed?
I feel like when it's in my stomach, it's more fear. And then in my head, it's so many thoughts, and it kind of creates this place of like stationary, like just not movement, no momentum.
Do you think the two can coexist?
Yeah, they're coexisting now. Yeah.
So what is the head saying to the stomach?
The head is saying, what's next? What's next? What's next? Do this. You haven't done this yet. We're running out of time. And the gut is more like, I don't want to. I'm just going to stay here. It's too much work.
Okay, so who wins?
I don't know. They're pretty easy right now. It's like a constant battle between them.
How do you think you can make one more powerful than the other?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I feel like you stumped me there.
Well, then the question lies, do you want anyone to be the victim?
Victim, that's a strong word. No, no, I mean, obviously I don't want anything bad coming out of it. I don't want anyone to be a victim. I don't know. You're making me like really think here. I don't know how to answer these questions now.
So what are you feeling right now?
Now I'm kind of stuck. Like now I'm just like in that thought. Like, how do I answer this? Where do we go from here?
So now that you're stuck on how to answer it, are other thoughts coming into your head?
No.
So what do you think that's about?
Not being able to move forward.
Can you use this type of activity to your advantage?
Yeah, I think it's helpful processing my thoughts, maybe challenging myself a little further on why things are the way they are. What can I change? Why does it stop me? Where am I feeling the most anxious? Where in my body? And then maybe after being like more aware of it, then maybe I can start to progress.
There's a lot of stuff you mentioned.
Yeah.
Being more aware, conscious of your body. Out of those, which is the one that you would love to do?
I think more about being more aware. So like even friends tell me like, oh, did you notice that? And I'm like, no. Like I just something as so simple as that. Or like even like when good things happen for me, like sometimes it'll take me a second to realize that actually was a good thing, So I think being more aware of like my surroundings and just being like more present. I think that's the problem. Like what I did mention that in the beginning.
Do you have any tools to be more aware and present?
No.
No? Can I offer a resource?
Sure.
There's a whole school on mindfulness.
On mind what?
It's called mindfulness.
Okay.
And it's really about being present.
Okay.
So using breath and just using observational tools where you're like in the present rather than thinking about what can happen.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
That sounds great because that's usually what stops me, right? Like always thinking about what can happen or what won't happen or what will.
Do you think this has heightened since Corona?
Has it heightened? I would say yes, because now I have like all the time in the world at home. And it actually took a very long time to start this project. I've been putting off for a while. And it almost comes off as like someone who's like, I might seem like a procrastinator or lazy, but there's so much I want to do that in my brain I don't know how to organize it, so it freezes me and I don't know how to start. So I've been a big project starter and a big project non-completer.
And this non-completion, give me an example.
Something today. I started to work on my budget for next month. And right away I start thinking of all these other things. Like I didn't check my email, so I open another tab on the computer, right? I forgot to edit something on my website yesterday. I open another tab. Someone put an order through on my other business website. Open that tab. And then I get a text message. I'm looking at my phone. So thinking about it now, I never completed my budget yesterday. It's just another tab that's open.
So in an ideal world, what would you love to have happened in that situation?
Just being super laser focused, finishing the budget, not letting anyone distract me.
Is there anyone you know or admire who has laser focus?
Do I know? Wow, I don't think I can say that. I mean, I'm pretty surrounded by very high-strung people. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, the person I mentioned earlier that I admire, maybe she's close to that, but I wouldn't say like exactly where I would want to be in terms of focus. So I don't think I've met that person yet.
And this is something you want to aspire to be?
Yes. Oh, I would love to. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just see you. You're smiling and you're like, even your body language.
Yeah.
So how could you make that a reality?
Well, somehow I have to figure out how to just finish what I started with no distractions. But how do I get there? I'm not sure. Like throughout the progression part, the process of completing that one project.
Was there anything in what we discussed today that could help?
Maybe Maybe if I start to feel anxious, like I have to open these other tabs, maybe doing the breathing exercise you mentioned, and probably being more mindful of what's triggering that thought.
And when that thought arises, is there anything you can do about that?
I have to learn to shut it off, just put it aside and say, I'll check back in with you later. Discipline? I don't know. Practice? It's gonna be tough. I'm kind of my own worst enemy here. But yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to try. Like I said, habit.
All right, Jessica, we have only a few minutes left, but how can you hold yourself accountable for all these things we discussed? So you came in with sort of this idea of, or this concern about anxiety, and then you talked about breathing and being more mindful, and then you talked about your friend and what you admire about them. So what are the steps you can do to become more accountable?
Well, I'm going to continue my 2-minute rule. I'm going to start utilizing my dry erase board and my phone calendar. Maybe I need to start setting a schedule for me and maybe set some time, like me time, like no projects, just me. And I can maybe start doing some research on being mindful of my body, and I think you said it's called Wim Hof. Maybe that's a practice I can start right away. Maybe even telling a friend or a close relative, like my mom or sister. Maybe having some sort of person to check in with. Because they can be really good at holding me accountable. That's all I got for now.
And if I somehow had magic powers and I granted you a wish, and the wish is you now have laser focus, and you don't have these extraneous thoughts,
okay,
what would life look like for you?
I think it would be easier. I think it would be probably slower paced. I think it would be worry-free, and more calm.
Is there anything that would be a deterrent or an obstacle to you?
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, if I'm so focused on my work and not letting other people in, they might think I'm being selfish, but that's okay.
Oh, that's okay. So tell me more about this.
I think I'm learning how to. So my word for 2020 has been boundaries.
Ah.
Yeah, I've been, because I always thought like I always have to help someone who asks, or turning someone down. Like if I say no, I always thought that was like being the mean girl. But I can't, like I have to learn to be able to finish my priorities before helping someone else out. Because I tend to change my schedule for other people, and then my stuff is being put off. So I'm learning to nicely say no, and to be a little more selfish without feeling bad about it.
And how's that work for you?
In the beginning it was tough because I started to feel, people started to feel let down. But once I started to communicate with certain people, like, listen, you need to stop having expectations of me. Because I'm not gonna be this this everything for everyone all the time and then put me last. And so that's definitely helped ease like a lot of all these little extra non-priorities that were making my projects lag behind. So I'm still learning how to politely turn people down and say no, or maybe I can't help you now, but later. And I think you train people how you want to be treated. And I'm training people.
All right. Mm-hmm. So you train people on how to be a little more self-involved. Mm-hmm. And then if you train them on this laser focus, what's the effect?
I think the effect would be, one, I would complete. I'd feel accomplished, and then I can check in with other people. I would probably feel less responsibility. And I think they would get used to it by then. Now they won't be so upset or have this high expectation of me having to help with everything. So maybe it might challenge them to do things on their own. Stop asking me for help.
And if they started doing things on their own and stopped asking you for help,
I think I would have more time for me.
They would have more time for you. Oh, amazing.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, we're coming to time, but I wanted to ask you, is there anything that was not addressed that you would love to address?
No, I think we're good. You asked me some really interesting, thought-provoking questions.
Excellent. Well, I really enjoyed our time.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for this.
All right. Sure. Hi there. I really hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast episode of The Human Resolve. If you feel that others may enjoy this episode as well, please share socially at The Human Resolve. They can also visit my website, thehumanresolve.com, where I offer one-on-one coaching sessions, daily prompts to move in the right direction, sync directly to your smartphone, and a subscription to my weekly newsletter where I probe into the secrets from living smarter to feeding your 3 brains. If you could also help me out and give me a review and rating on this platform, because I do care what you have to say, I would really appreciate it. Now, get out there, my friends, and get busy living.